Obviously, another great win in a tough environment. Really proud of the guys. A lot of things. Got off to a fast start. That was something that was really important. Playing a talented team down at their place. Really focused all week on getting off to a fast start. Thought the guys did a great job of that. The first two series, getting 14 points on the board, and wish we could have kept that going. Got in a couple of lulls there in the second quarter. Then obviously a great finish there in the fourth quarter whenever we needed it. Just going back watching the tape and watching with the guys this morning, I mean, there's countless third down conversions on drives where we're getting points, touchdowns and field goals, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, where guys are making plays, and then two big fourth down conversions. And you go back and take any of those away and it can be a different game. As far as the turnovers, obviously the two interceptions were disappointing, something that can be prevented, but really pleased with the guys holding on the ball. That was obviously a focus in the open week as far as the fumbles, eliminating that. And there's a lot of hard hits out there, a lot of guys coming from behind trying to knock it out. I felt like the guys held on to the ball really well at key times. And I think obviously every week you got some things to clean up. But overall, the guys did what it took to get the job done. And, just my experience being around college football, the teams that can find a way to win at the right time, those are the ones that have the big years. And that's where we are. Grant Taff, who is the former head of the AFCA, very well-respected college coach and mentor for a lot of college coaches. He came through. He was just in town visiting Dal Sheely, and he was in the building maybe Monday of last week, and someone I've always looked up to, and first time I've actually had a chance to meet him. And he came in our offensive room, was talking to the offensive staff on Monday, and he's 91 years old. And he said, I've watched you guys play several times this year. And he said, and this is last week before the Florida State game, he said, the thing that I really notice about your guys is it's one thing to get in a situation in the fourth quarter and you got a big drive to hope that you can get it done. It's another thing to know that you can do it because you've done it before. And he said just having that in the back of your mind is very powerful and strong for you the rest of the year. And that's exactly kind of what I was thinking about there after the game, exactly how pretty prophetic there for Saturday's game, because there's a lot of confidence. I mean, obviously with everything on the line, the game on the line and all that, I mean, it was amazing just watching those guys go out there and execute, no panic. It's kind of like we've done this before because we've done this before. And so I thought that was really good. Moving on to Syracuse, I think with Syracuse, you got a confident team coming in. I think all of us saw the celebration in the locker room after the Virginia Tech game where maybe they were 20-something point underdog at their own place, played really well, and beat a very good Virginia Tech team. I think Virginia Tech's one of the top teams that we've watched on video. Really impressed with what they're doing this year. And you could tell in the locker room that Coach Baver's doing a good job and got those guys believing. They've won 2 in a row. They went on the road the next week to BC and beat BC on the road. And they look a little bit more athletic than in the past. That's one thing that really jumps out. Guys move around really well. Number 4, Mike linebacker, Zaire Franklin. I think he's a really good player. He plays sideline to sideline and makes a bunch of tackles. They're very well coached, fundamentally sound. They play with great effort. That's another thing that I notice is the effort that they play with. I mean, they're running full speed all the time. You don't see any loafing or guys taking plays off, and so it's definitely going to be another challenge and one we're looking forward to. And we'll put all our focus in Syracuse as we get ready this week.
What was it like having a college football Hall of Fame coach come in and walk around the offices and compliment you guys?
Yeah, it was good. I try to go to the AFCA convention every year, and he's always up there in the front talking to 10,000 coaches and very well respected. And I've read a lot of his writings and things that he's put out through the years, but to have a chance to meet him and for him to make that comment, because that told me that he really has been watching us, and I think there was a lot of wisdom in what he was saying. is, those teams that, because I've watched college football, and I just think back to Florida State 2013. You watch all their games. It's just like no matter what situation they get themselves in, they always find a way to win. And, and we're not a championship team yet. That's what we're working towards, but that's what championship teams do, is they find a way to win. But, yeah, it was great having him here along with Dal Shealy.
On that subject of the fourth quarter drives and knowing how to make good drives, I asked Deshaun the same question. What was the mindset going into that drive, the last touchdown drive, for the staff and the players? And did you have a pre-designed, scripted drive for that one, or you guys just went off the cuff what they're getting?
Really, the only thing we said in the huddle is when we score, we're going for 2. And then we just called plays and went. And, there was no doubt looking in those guys' eyes that we're going to go and score. Now, it maybe happened a little faster than everybody thought it was going to happen with a couple plays. But, I think, and we've talked about this before, and Deshaun, he's made a bunch of plays. Obviously, he makes mistakes like all of us, but there's nobody else in the country we want leading that team in that situation than Deshaun Watson. And he's got faith and trust in his guys out there, and they've got the same faith and trust in him. And it was very well executed. And but there wasn't any special designs to get the ball to any one person or anything like that. Actually, the touchdown that we hit to Jordan was the same play we'd ran twice earlier in the game. We just ran it with motion earlier in the game, and it hit twice, so we got on the sidelines and coached it up out of just lining up. And it same way we hit Renfro early, maybe the second drive, first play of the second drive, same concept. And so since it worked pretty well, we coached up on the sideline to have it ready in another formation. And then also another play where we hit Leggett down the middle, maybe earlier in that drive, something that we'd ran earlier in the game, but maybe just changed up a couple ways to get to it. So we kind of felt comfortable that we had some things for that last drive that were going to work versus their defense. And then it was just about executing, and guys did a great job.
Going back to the play with Jordan, what did you see in your eyes when you saw that safety and that quarterback take off and go with Renfro?
Yeah, that was the best case scenario. Just like all the pass concepts they have, Jordan actually caught a ball earlier in the game from the outside. We were running the same concept, but he was outside at the number 1 receiver, and they covered Renfro, and we got it down to Leggett. So you got different guys, but I think on that particular play, Renfro was in the slot, and I think he got the attention of those guys. They and that's the benefit of having multiple playmakers is they can't lock in on one guy. And I think Renfro had already made a couple plays throughout that game, and so I think maybe they got their eyes on him and forgot about Jordan. And he was open, and give credit to Sean. He knew exactly where he's going. One other point I want to make on that sometimes gets lost is they brought a corner blitz. And 2 things on that. Number 1, Mike Williams did a great job of communicating, because the running back, he's got a lot of things. He didn't see it, but the running back heard it. Wayne heard the call that Mike Williams made as the ball was getting snapped, telling him that the corner's blitzing. And if you go back and watch it, Wayne's inside. He hears it. He comes back, knocks the corner off, and it's just 1 yard that he knocks him off. Deshaun steps up and makes the throw. If we don't get that call, we don't get that block, Deshaun gets hit in the back whenever he's trying to throw the ball. We never know if it's fumble or whatever. But that's what we're always going back coaching our guys. It's the little things that lead to the big things. And that was a great example of that. Everybody doing their job along with the guys up front. But really proud of Wayne picking up that block on game-winning touchdown.
When the flow of the game plan shifts toward the pass and Wayne's asked to pass block, I guess a 2-part question. How has he taken to that role, and has he improved over the course of his 3-4 years?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of his improvement. And you'll hear Wayne talk about he wants to be a complete player without the ball. And I think Wayne does a really good job with the ball, but really without the ball. And I think that's where he's developed the most in the last 2 years. But Wayne knows there's certain games. You go back to maybe Miami last year where we ran for over 400 yards. And then there's certain games based off what the defense is doing or the strengths and weaknesses, how everything matches up, where you're going to throw it a little bit more. But Wayne's one of the most unselfish players that I've had a chance to be around and coach at Clemson. He's awesome. Whatever you ask him to do, he's going to go do it. And I think Wayne, he likes to pass protect because he gets to put that on video and show, hey, I can do this. Kind of add to his portfolio, I guess, as a player.
He's not a selfish guy, but does he ever, in his own Wayne way, say, hey, give me the ball when things are?
I think he does it the right way. I think all competitors want the ball, but it's the way that you handle that and communicate that. And he wants the ball. There's no doubt about it. And when he gets the ball, he makes the most of it. But he's never been a distraction or anything like that. He handles it the right way.
Coach, you mentioned the benefit of having multiple options. You have four players with over 60 yards of reception the other night. How have you been able to manage all this talent throughout the course of the season and get them to buy into the concept of sharing the football? Well,
I think the biggest thing, and we talked about this as an offense actually before the game on Saturday, before our Saturday morning, we're getting ready to watch video. I always try to have a little message for them. And the message that I had for them, I said the most important stat that we have right now is 7-0. And I went down, and I'm not going to call out these teams, but I went down the top 10 offenses in the country. The number one offense is 3-4 going into Saturday. There's a team that's 2-5 that's in the top. There's a lot of, and then I went through the top quarterbacks in the country as far as passing yards and receiving yards and all this, and everybody's sitting here at 4-4, 3-4, and it's not about that. It's about the win. And do we want to be the best? Absolutely. We want to be the best in every area, but we got to do whatever it takes to win games. And really, I haven't had that problem because I've kind of got that question maybe, when we don't execute quite as well and people are trying to figure things out, and is there things going on behind the scenes. That's what I told the guys. I said, we hadn't had one time all year, all you guys, all the expectations and everything, I had one time where somebody's come up and been mad or been a distraction because they're not getting the ball. I said, we know, and it's something we talked about, we play our best when, right? And we kind of list those things out and we talk about that. We play our best when we're spreading the ball around. And I think that's a great example we use right there with Renfro and Leggett. All of a sudden, they start zeroing in on one guy, and then you got another guy. There's another big play to Artavis Scott right down there. He caught right there on the 2-yard line, and the play we ran before, and they recognized it. And Renfro was a guy that we were going to on 3rd and 4. And they jumped Renfro, and there's Artavis right there. And so that's our message to our guys is, hey, we definitely want to be the best in everything we do, but ultimately our goal is to do whatever it takes to win the game. And I really believe our guys have bought into that. We haven't had a lot of distractions with that.
How has Deshaun handled the noise of his statistics maybe not being what a lot of people thought they would?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of just like what I said, just winning games, everything will take care of itself. And it comes with the territory. Whenever he moves on to the next level, he's going to be a top player up there, and he's going to have high expectations. And the expectations for him are higher than they are for some other people. So maybe he gets judged a little bit more difficult and critiqued, and but it's no different. You turn on we watch turnovers every Tuesday is turnover day. So Coach Sweeney, he'll show turnovers from the NFL that week, and I just sit back there next to Brandon Streeter, and I'm amazed at all these NFL top quarterbacks, all these poor decisions, and what it reinforces is guys are gonna make mistakes. There's no perfect players out there, and but I think Deshaun's handled it very well. Early on, I think it's kind of when we had all that stuff around Troy and kind of getting going as the season's going, but he knows. You go back and look at his record here at Clemson; it's pretty spectacular. What he's done and what this team has done since he's been our quarterback. And I think at the end of the day, when we look back at his complete body of work, it's going to be very impressive. And so I think that's the biggest thing is just don't get caught up in all of that. And, and it's what we told the offense and told all the guys. I think, we did some really good things the first 7 games. We also did some things that weren't great that we can improve on. And so that's our goal the second half of the season is individually and as a group offensively, what can we do to improve? And said, we're not going to be remembered by what we did in September. We're going to be remembered by what we do in November and beyond. And so I thought, Saturday was a good start for that. And I think, the guys are hungry, and just got to stay focused each and every day.
Much as Deshaun doesn't want to focus on the negative talk of last year, at least you said so with us. I mean, is that different than last year in that when he made his run, when he did those stats, he was kind of celebrated as this breakthrough player, and now this year he's held to that higher standard?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably similar with Lamar Jackson. Lamar's having a heck of a year this year, and he's earned everything. And next year he'll probably get judged a little bit more difficult than he's getting judged this year, just because of the expectation that's out there. And I think, what Deshaun did last year, then especially in that last game against a talented defense, it set a bar that I'm not sure is really reachable, whenever you talk about a, 12, 13, 14, 15 game season. And so, that's our message is, hey, let's focus on the things that we can control. And you can't get caught up in the outside stuff. Obviously, it's human nature for that stuff. But I think Deshaun's done a really good job. I mean, I've been around a lot of quarterbacks, and to make maybe one of those interceptions, come back from those throws, and act like it never happened, and to be able to go. I mean, there's not many quarterbacks to throw in those 2 interceptions to go in there and has the faith to throw that ball in that tight window to Hunter Renfrow on 3rd and 21, and he just plays fearless. He puts it behind him, and that's what the great ones do. They're able to play through any struggles that they have.
Over your years, have you been around a guy at all like Renfrow, this undersized former walk-on guy who just continually goes on and makes these big plays?
The closest one is Adam Humphries, and Adam did a lot of things. Adam came here on scholarship, but we were his only scholarship. But Hunter's really taken it to the next level, and it's really amazing what he's done in there. And we recruit really well. We think we do at wide receiver, and for him to be a guy that came in and walked on, and he's played over the top of a lot of other guys in that room, but he's earned it, and that's been the biggest thing, is he's earned the respect of his teammates and earned the opportunity. But we get to see the way he practices every day. I mean, he comes to work every single day, and it's been documented. The little quote we have in our room, Peyton Manning quote, that says, I don't play favorites. I throw to the guys on Sunday that get open during the week, and that's who he is. I mean, every day at practice, he's going to get open. He's going to work hard, so you know what you're going to get. But I'm very pleased with Hunter, and I'm excited because I don't think he's reached his ceiling. I mean, he's going to only get better. He still makes mistakes and things that he can do better, but we're very fortunate to have him in our program, and he's got a bright future if he'll stay healthy and continue to work.
How long would it maybe take you to maybe stop being surprised by him doing the things that he's...
I think last year, by the middle to late part last year, I think we kind of knew what we had. And I think then he went off in the playoff and had that. And I think maybe a lot of people that didn't follow us as closely as the Clemson fans, they were able to kind of see, and he came on the scene maybe from a national perspective. But I mean, he made a bunch of big plays last year as the season went on. But I mean, now he's a top tier guy in our room.
Coach, Ray didn't drop any punts the other night, but it seemed kind of indecisive on a couple that you let go. What was your evaluation of how he did?
I thought he did a good job. There might have been one. The guy, I can't remember if there was a penalty or something. The guy kicked it about 55 yards, so we backed him up. And then the next time he kicked it, it was 35 yards, and he couldn't get underneath it. But he's worked on it. I give him credit. He stays after practice every day and has worked on it. And I think it's just a matter of time before we get him held up and hopefully get him some more opportunities to run with the ball, because he's definitely got a talent for that. But work in progress. But I thought he did fine.
Ran the ball effectively. Florida State is still 3.5 yards per rush. Wayne not on a track now for even 1,000 yards. Will there be a renewed emphasis on the running game these last 4 games, or is it just we take what the other teams give us?
Yeah.
How do you treat that going forward?
I treat it that we're 8-0, and let's go in the room against Syracuse, and what do we need to do to win the game? And whatever comes out of that, comes out of that. And that's where it is. Is there things that we can do better and that we're going to coach up? Absolutely. In running game, passing game, and everything. Then you look at Florida State, they're pretty stout up front, and that's the strength of theirs. And, we kind of looked at the perimeter as a strength of ours, and with a quarterback that we got that can make good decisions. And, so we definitely had to run the ball and to keep them honest. But, we didn't go into the game expecting that was going to be a major part of the game plan. We knew that it was going to be tough sledding in there. There was a few other opportunities that we'd like to get some bigger runs. But, we're not worried, and he knows that. We're not worried about anybody's yard totals or how it looked to last year or whatever. I mean, last year was a different year, playing different defenses. Everything was different matchups and all that. Each game's a new game, and that's what makes it exciting as a coach, is to kind of see how another team's going to play you, and then really how the game develops. All of a sudden you get in a game and you think you're going to throw it all the time. You start running the ball, having success because they're trying to take away the pass, and you're able to run the ball. So you just kind of have to have that feel and stay committed to whatever it takes to get the job done.
All set?
All right.